So today I'm starting work on the horizontal stabilizer ribs. Specifically, these are the HS1004 Inspar ribs. And the first steps are going to be to cut away a small portion of the flange on either side of 4 of these ribs, and then cut away an additional area, this little tab area, on 2 of those. And you might wonder, why am I going to be cutting up perfectly good ribs? And the reason is to allow clearance or provide a place for this stringer to go. Actually, there's 4 stringers, 2 long ones and 2 short ones. I made these in an earlier video, and these stringers will go sort of along like that. I'm probably holding it upside down, but so the stringers and stringer web will provide additional structure on the very center inside of the horizontal stabilizer. So that's what those cuts are going to be for. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to make the cuts yet. It shouldn't be difficult. This is not super thick aluminum. I could probably use the snips. The snips sometimes sort of make a mess of things. Maybe I'm just not good with them yet. I may be able to use the bandsaw. I may be able to fit the bandsaw in. So I'm just going to try a couple of different things, and we'll see what works out.
So I decided to try making the first cut in the web of the rib with the bandsaw, because I can lay the rib down flat and make that cut, and then use the snips to make the second cut in the flange of the rib. So here I am marking the part. As with a lot of these things, you mark it by connecting the dots between pre-drilled holes or notches. Take it over to the saw, and it'll need to be cleaned up a little bit, but hopefully you can see the cut I made in the web of the rib there, up to the hole.
Alright, so I've made one cut here with the saw. Left a little extra. Cut it from this side. So I went ahead and I was able to fit the saw blade in there, make the cut that way. And now I'm going to use the snips and attempt to cut this off. And as I've said before, the snips, I seem to usually booger up the material pretty good with the snips, but I took a couple of practice cuts here to try to learn which direction these work. I don't remember, they're color coded. Green is maybe right and red is left. I don't know. Maybe it's the other way around, but I think that makes sense. From what I learned, when you make a cut, if you use I guess it's straight. The straighter side of the snips is where is the good side. That's the side that you want the material you want to keep on, and then the material you want to discard is on this curved side, and that'll cause it to curve away. At least that's how it seems to work. So, like if I want to cut that off, well, not sure that kept that super nice, but it didn't tear it up, and away that went. So I'm going to give this a try here, and we're going to hope that it doesn't make too big of a mess of my rib. So here we go. Too bad, oh, there we go. So too bad I can't really get in there, but I'm in. Well, not terrible, and we strive for not terrible here. So I'll have to bend that around a little bit and clean it up. We'll see what that takes to clean that up. All right, maybe I'll try the saw with one of them.
So you could probably tell I wasn't absolutely thrilled with that result, but the truth is everything came out fine. It was a straight enough cut. I left enough margin that I was going to need to file on it anyway, which is what I'm doing here. Turns out that was the bigger pain, because filing this thinner material is a little bit of a hassle. It tends to vibrate under the file, and holding everything still is kind of tough. But like I say, that all turned out fine. I did try a different method on the second notch on this rib, so I'll talk about that here.
Okay, so I've cut 2 notches in one of the ribs. I tried out a couple of different methods to make the cuts. On both of them, I did the part of the cut in the webbing on the bandsaw. It was easy enough to fit the fit the blade up in there and just make that cut. It's very thin material, so that worked out just fine. On the second one, I went ahead and made both cuts on the bandsaw. What I did may seem sort of backwards. I made the cut in the web first, and then for the cut in the flange, I actually put it down this way on the table of the saw and fed it in like that. And I could kind of see what I was doing by the hole that you use to mark this notch anyway. And the advantage there seemed to be that because this has a little bit of a flare out, you aren't really feeding the whole flat piece in to the saw blade all at once. It would be fine if you did. I think this is not that tough a material, that it wouldn't cut through, but it sort of cuts it progressively, and that worked fine. So I'll probably do the rest of them that way, if for no other reason than it made a cleaner cut, and I didn't have to straighten the flange after that. And then again, I'm coming back with the file on all of these and cleaning it up, and then of course deburring and everything. So let's see, 3 more ribs, 6 more notches, and then 2 additional notches, well 4, 2 more on 2 of the ribs. So I'm gonna go do that.
So I did indeed end up making all the rest of the cuts for all the ribs on the bandsaw, including the ones for the flange. So I didn't get a very good camera angle, but you can kind of see the orientation there with each cut. So here I'm carefully and cautiously hammering a razor blade through a 2-inch 3M wheel in order to make a little cone. I don't recommend actually doing it this way, but make a little cone that I then put on a Dremel tool mandrel and use either in my Dremel tool or in my drill like you saw there to deburr all the little nooks and crannies on these ribs. I got that little trick from one of Plane Lady's videos, and I think she got it from either a forum or someone else's build log, but it's a great little tip. So here you can see that I'm marking to cut off that. That is the little tab that you remove both top and bottom on 2 of the 4 ribs that you've already modified. I make that cut on the bandsaw. It's a single cut through the web of the rib to meet up with the notch that's already there, and then I file it smooth. So after that, it's really just a whole lot of deburring, so I think I will go ahead and wrap this up.
Okay, so I finished cutting the notches in the flanges of the 4 inboard most horizontal stabilizer Inspar ribs. 2 of them have notches on either side of this center area here, and those 2 will go most inboard, right up against the tail cone. And then the other 2 only have notches on one side of this center section, leaving these 2 tabs in place. So that's all done. I've gone ahead and deburred these 4 ribs. I've got 4 more of this same sort of pattern, the HS1004 Inspar ribs to deburr. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I probably won't film it because the camera battery is almost dead and it's just a lot more deburring. So I'm going to go ahead and get to work on that. Okay, so I've done, whoa, wow, wheels on the work table.